All right. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. Trendy John here from the Trendy Trading Room. Going to go ahead and start on our broad market analysis. This week we'll be covering tonight. Futures open here Central Time at 5 o'clock. Today is the 17th of November. Coming in very close to the holidays. Thanksgiving's around the corner. So just know that things are going to start to lighten up after the big event this week, right? Which is going to be NVIDIA earnings. We are covering until the 22nd, and I think there's a lot in store for this week. So let's go ahead and get it started. So first thing I want to show is going to be the U.S. economic calendar. And as a reminder, we are supply and demand traders. We are identifying zones and levels before price gets there. These are all just catalysts that can push price to those zones, and then we take action. Again, this week for me, I feel like it's a little slow, and a lot of emphasis and focus will be on NVIDIA. And after such a big week down, and really big picture, it wasn't a huge week down. Most of this was just a 50% pullback of the election rally. Some of it a little bit more, like on the QQQ NASDAQ side, we had about 61.8%. And we'll get to that a little bit later. So I do think there's still room for a nice little relief rally this week, and I'll be showing you those charts in a minute. Before we get on with the economic news, go ahead and hit the like button, please. And if this is continuing to help you in your journey in trading, go ahead and leave some comments. And if there's anything you'd like to hear or see differently, you can put those in the comments as well. Let's go ahead and get started. So this week's U.S. economic reports and Fed speakers. Monday, Home Builder Confidence Index. Like I said, it's going to start off pretty slow. Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee speaks. Tuesday, housing starts, building permits. Chicago Fed President Goolsbee again. And then on Wednesday, Fed Governor Lisa and Fed Michelle Bowman speak. And then Thursday is where it gets a little bit more interesting. Now, Wednesday, let me go ahead and go back on that. This is when we are going to have the earnings for NVIDIA, okay? Now, my overall idea here is since the market had a nice little pullback, it's just going to digest probably for a good 2 days. But there is a range that I believe will digest in. And again, we'll go over that. On Thursday, initial jobless claims, Philadelphia Fed manufacturing survey, some more Fed speakers, and then on Friday, PMI. So it looks like it starts to get interesting around Wednesday afternoon and probably into the close on Friday. The next thing that we want to be taking a look at is this week's earnings. And I believe that there are some in here that you might find interesting besides NVIDIA. So on Monday after the close, we have Trip.com. That's something that I'm interested in. And then Tuesday in the morning, we have Walmart. And then as we move down, Lowe's. I love to see how they are doing. Futu. And then moving on over here to the afternoon, not much on this side that I'm interested in. Wednesday, Target, TJ Maxx, love this, and I tell you guys this every quarter. My wife is a huge fan of a deal. And in this economy, I think these stores are doing very, very well. And then as we move on down here, I'm going to look at, again, obviously, NVIDIA. Look, there's going to be a lot of emphasis here, a lot of probably focus, a lot of people saying, hey, will NVIDIA save the market and so forth. Just know the pullback that we had, although pretty dramatic, right? It, in the big picture, was just a nice digestion of the overall rally that we've had so far. Snowflake coming in as well. That's going to be interesting. PANW, definitely interesting. I always like to see how fast food is doing during the economy. I think a lot of people are rushing to fast food. I really do. And so, you can see things like Shack doing really well and perhaps maybe Jack. So I'll look at the chart and see if there's anything there. Thursday, we kick it off with Baidu. And then you have PDD. One of my favorites, John Deere, although it's really been in this choppy digestion phase from its overall rally for the last couple years. So exciting, sort of, but also pretty boring over there with DE. And then there's BJ's, and then on Thursday afternoon, Intuit, and then Ross, right? Ross is one of my favorites. Again, I love Ross, TJ Maxx, anything that has a great deal going on, like I said, during the, during these times, if you will. Moving on down, we're going to go to SPY. I'm using TradingView here. I use the quarterly candle. I love to talk about this over and over and over. First, you guys all know I'm building a position for March. This is not financial advice. I've just been putting and layering into a SPY put debit hedge that actually has been doing really well over the last 2 days. But I continue to build in it anytime we have a big pop in the market because of the underlining inside and up or demand formation that we have down here, but also the 9 EMA on the quarterly. Why I love this chart so much is because the bigger picture is what means the most to me. And you guys can see anytime we've come down into this cloud, it's been a great buy for the year. So we have not come down to this. It's been since, let's see, October 2023. And there's still a lot of divergence between these two, and it's definitely possible. So again, I'm just kind of pushing myself into a position for March 2025. I don't know if it's going to happen by then, but what I do know is even if we get another significant pullback, I'm able to take some profits and kind of hedge my account with that trade itself. Now, what we're looking at here is that after this past week, I'm going to go ahead and read the notes to you. The market started digesting the election run. Last week, it was all about the rally and anticipating, hey, now we have a new president or will have a new president, and the election seemed to be really bullish. The digestion brought price back halfway to the 50% coefficient of the Fibonacci's. The 618 of the election rally is 580 on the SPY. Under that, the rally is broken. Okay, so if we break underneath 580, then the rally that we had since learning of the new election is broken. Okay, and again, that's the golden Fibonacci. The channel, all right, the bull channel is 587 by 592.5. My two major levels this week will be 580 and 592. Okay. And so I'll pull up the chart of the SPY on Thinkorswim so we can go over that really quick. So this is what it looks like. So what I'm talking about is if we take this rally and we take this high and we measure with our Fibonacci's, you can see that we came directly right back to the 50. The bull channel lies in here, 587.7 by 592.47. This is where we'd like to end up closing. I would anyways. And I believe we can definitely close there if NVIDIA does well. All right. Now, the 618, the golden fib around 580. This is what I'm talking about. There's a couple things there that are confluent, and we can see there's a 9 EMA on the weekly. There's the golden fib. And I would really not want to see price close underneath here, or like I said, the rally itself is then broken if we close underneath here. And that's just some Fibonacci that I teach. This is also possible. If we break below the golden fib, we can see 575 and 571. And then further down here towards the next EMA around 562. Let's go ahead and move on to the QQQ. Now, this one here actually pulled back a little bit more than the ES, and I'll show you here, or the SPY, just here in a few minutes. Let me go ahead and read the notes. Not a great look after such a rally, but price did close at the 618 of the rally. That means the 61% of the rally was taken back. Bulls need to regain the bull channel. That is $508.31. Bears under 496 can push price to 491 and 487. The $496 level will be this week's line in the sand. Basically, you're over under. My expected range with NVIDIA earnings could be as much as 480 by 503. And you guys can see we closed at 496. Okay. So again, 480 by 503. All right. So I'm going to close this, and now I'm going to take you back over to Thinkorswim, and let's go ahead and take a look at the Qs. All right, so on the Qs, when we snap some fibs on this bad boy, let's go ahead and talk about it, okay? So we did pull back 61%. All I did was measure from the pivot low here of the rally election candle to the high. These are the fibs included. Your bull channel is anywhere between 503 to 508. And you guys can see I put bull channel in there. So again, the 23.6 and the 38.2, these are the numbers for that. Okay, so I'd like to see bulls get back in there and close the week in that area if all goes well. Now, they closed at the 618. That is the golden fib. All I'm saying in my Fibonacci is when I measure this, that this overall trend is still intact. It's still bullish until price closes and then begins a downward trajectory underneath 496.07. Okay. If that happens, that opens up 491 and then 487. And my major levels, if you notice here, I'm pointing into the trendy edge, which could be a move all the way into the 480. And then my major level as well is going to be 503. Now, I want to be, well, I said my range could be 480 to 503. What I should be saying is that my major levels, what we could see is probably more along 508 to 480. If we get back above 508, things look really, really good for the QQQ and the NASDAQ going into the rest of the year, okay? But right now, it's definitely at that point where you want to be a little careful until we can get above this level of 503.63, or if we get down here towards my edge, it'll be a buying opportunity for me, okay? So again, that's the SPY and the QQQ. I've shown you the Fibonacci. Now let's go ahead and move on to the dollar, and we'll be using TradingView for this. So right up here, we're just going to click DXY. That's the ticker you want to use. The big thing about the dollar, again, it's very simple. As the dollar is strengthening, you most likely will see a pullback in the market, and that's what we're looking at. I want to be looking at this on the weekly, and really nothing has changed since the last several weeks. I told you that it looks strong here, and if this were a stock, I would be long. I got a buy signal the previous week, and you can see that worked really, really well. The dollar continued to strengthen. Now, nothing has changed this week, so I'll repeat exactly what I said last week. Price has sustained momentum over the cloud and above the 618. The possible move is to 106.4 as long as 103.36 holds. Guys, you can see that we're at 106.6, so that has come true. My update, price is now above 106.40, okay? And over 109, I believe the market goes into panic mode, and that's where we will see the fear and greed tip to fear, okay? And so far, I mean, it looks definitely possible that it can have that, but we did come into a supply zone, and there is the opportunity for the dollar to come back and digest while the market starts to move up towards NVIDIA earnings. Now, after NVIDIA earnings, again, this thing, let's say that NVIDIA does terrible, the market pulls back. I think you see the dollar shoot up into this supply zone, and again, complete fear in the market. Let's go ahead and move down to the 10-year Treasury. We'll go into the TNX. And a reminder, guys, go ahead and hit that like button. I really, really appreciate it. On the TNX, we hit the 618 two times now. The first time it rejected really hard. And then this week we rejected, but it also looks strong, and I am getting a buy signal here. The red and green arrows come from my Trendy cloud. This is a very robust cloud that we use. We've had this for many, many years. It looks like a lot of, we have a lot of people out there that use clouds now. They become really popular. Ours is a lot different as it has formation code built into it to allow us to know where we're building buy and sell zones. So that's what I'm talking about when I reference that. Now, as far as this week is concerned, the expected range is still the same. So the same notes as last week, 4.1 to 4.67, pure panic over 4.9. So once again, guys, if you were to come up here and go ahead and set yourself an alert, all right, but I want you to know, although this would be pure panic up here, I do believe it rejects. So I would be shocked if we get up and over that, but would I? I mean, I've been in the market a long time, and I'm always like, not surprised when something crazy happens. So let's just go ahead and create an alert there just in case it gets above. Just know that the market's probably in pure panic mode because everything else is lining up for the downside. So the skew is the next thing that I want to take a look at. The skew is really important. And believe it or not, we're only off by like a half a point from last week. So nothing really changed here. And your hedge funds are basically saying, hey, it's risk off. All right. So I get it. Right. But what we do know this year is that right in here, if you just kind of draw a trend line, this is where, for me, you want to be a little bit more careful. And this is where we actually have room for the market to go up a little bit more and create a little bit more greed, if you will. So we're kind of stuck between the two opposing levels. This level right here is where I've been saying all year, buy calls 5 to 10 days out. It's worked every single time. And at least that information is for me to buy calls 5 to 10 days out. And until it doesn't work, I got to take a shot if it comes down here. Now, this year in 2024, when the skew comes into this level, this is pretty much saying, hey, the market is really fearful, and we're right at that over-under level where things could get really, really ugly. But they've saved it every time this year, and things really have not gotten that ugly. Matter of fact, we've never on the skew reached the extreme levels that we're used to seeing that create complete fear, but also give you a great opportunity for a shot to the long side. So do we stay in here in this box for all of 2024? I mean, probabilities suggest that we do, because it's almost the end of the year. It's November 17th, and I can't believe I'm saying that we're almost to the end of the year. But, I guess at the end of the day, I would be surprised if the skew actually broke down and came into here. But if it does, since we're sitting here talking about this right now, if it does, I am going big time long into the end of the year, and I'll hold those calls into 2025. So yes, I have a hedge on, but if this were to break all the way down here, I'm probably closing out the hedge, keeping maybe a quarter of it on, but then I'm going to go ahead and buy maybe March 2025 calls, and then I'll have a strangle. Because I'm telling you, if you go back and you look at all of this, anytime we come into this level, has created a great opportunity to be long. Obviously, timing is the variable, so I'm buying a lot of time with my options. And when I say a lot of time, I mean like 3 to 6 months, okay? All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to hit the fear and greed, and it is at 51. I'm kind of shocked after a 500-point day down in the NASDAQ on Friday that, this thing is only tipped over to the neutral side. Now, it moved 10 points. Last week, it was at 61, which really is not a lot either. I mean, the level was right here, so it didn't move much considering the move back. So again, now investors are neutral and kind of teetering on, hey, was this just digestion, or is this a sign of something? And also NVIDIA earnings again, right? So everybody's kind of filling and looking for the same things in the market. All right, so I'm about to lead into the ES futures. A little bit of background. I love the futures because I've always taught that they actually show you into the future. So what I like to see here is my projection on this is how I run my portfolio. So if I'm bullish, then I'm buying a lot of things you'll see in the market. And if I'm kind of neutral, little hands off, that type of sentiment, then you'll see me kind of slowly taking trades, or you'll see me with smaller allocation, just trying to take a couple shots here and there. But what I'll tell you going into this week is that my overall sentiment is that we may see a relief rally. And by the way, that's a plug for you to watch my relief rally video. That's only like 5 to 7 minutes, so you can understand what I'm talking about. It will help you tremendously, so make sure you watch it, okay? So I think we could see a relief rally because levels have stopped at important levels on my charts. And I'll go over each one of those. We're going to cover the ES futures, the NASDAQ futures, and then we're going to go into Bitcoin crypto, and then we'll finish this video from there. Let's go ahead and start. ES futures pull back, like I said, about 50% of the rally. You guys can see that. This bull channel worked really, really well into the election. This was a really fun week. And then obviously coming into this week, things got a lot harder. Matter of fact, 100% always being transparent with you guys. I lost a little bit of money this week, and that's expected. It's okay. We're not always going to make money every single day, believe it or not. So it's okay. Basically, my portfolio was at its highs, just like the market, which is pretty cool, right? Portfolio at the highs. We get this ebb and flow. We get a little bit of dip. And, my portfolio took a little dip because I have long-term stuff as well. And those took a little bit of a shot there, okay? All right. So we hit the 50, we stalled. The only thing that I want to point out here is we have the 9 EMA on the weekly. We have a 618, the golden fib. If prices were to pull back, I would really, really love to see this level hit. This is going to be basically the same analysis that you saw on the SPY. Okay, we got a bull channel. I want us to stay above there. We have the golden fib. I like the trend not to break. That way we can continue to move up towards the end of the year. And if for some reason it does break and it breaks with vengeance, then I would be looking for 5,800 by 5,760. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on. This is where we get into the daily. So these were your triggers. I left these the same as last week. I did not change these. So I want to show you what we're looking at here. So we created right at the resistance level I gave you last week was indeed resistance. We actually created some inside and down formation. You have supply now that's sitting at resistance, and you have this nice imbalance in the market that was created from the election. A lot of imbalances like to be filled. It is, timing is the variable. When does it come back there? I'll tell you what was really tricky about this week was that every time we have a cycle rotation to the downside, they don't typically, at least this year, you don't wake up and you're down several points. They kind of Monday and Tuesday really play it out super slow. You start to feel like, well, maybe we're not going to pull back. So I'll start getting more into long-term positions or add, and then they finally roll it over. And that's what they did. It was almost like slow motion. And then once it got going, the elevator really started dropping. So things dropped down. They came into the first trigger long. I'd have to go to a smaller time frame to see if this worked out for a few points, but it did close underneath, and now we have the imbalance. So we have these two opposing zones, this zone and this zone. This is what we're working with going into this week. So again, a relief rally would be something like this. Let's just say something comes out in the market we weren't expecting. You would see the market move up towards this area right into NVIDIA earnings, and then NVIDIA earnings could disappoint, and then you see us come all the way back down into the imbalances down here. And I know there's some gap fills as well down here, okay? So this is, though, the overall range. If things get super bullish, we have to break above this high. It's a if this, then that. If price can get over this, great. If price can't and we continue to roll over, this is where our next area of interest is for buying. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on. This is this is going to be the blueprint. I actually used a 6 hour, okay, to kind of look for some of this stuff. But these right here, I annotated your zones. We stopped at a 1 hour zone. Another reason, right? Not only are we at the 50 and we stopped, but because of this, we stopped right in a 1 hour zone and we popped nicely. I'm looking for a relief rally. Now, I guess you could say we got a little bit of a relief rally on Friday, but not very strong. It came into a low of 76, and then we pushed into 5,900. These are the zones that I'm looking for. A relief rally could pop us into here, and then we just kind of break back down and wait for NVIDIA. You have something like this that looks like a little flag, and if that breaks down, you could see it right in here. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on. Again, I do intra-day. Every single day I have a chart set up for you guys to go into trading. This one's already on your charts and in the room. This is for tonight if you want to go ahead and use that. And then let's go ahead and look at the NASDAQ futures. Yeah, let's start here. Now, the NASDAQ futures, a little bit different. They actually pulled back. Let's go ahead. I want to say the 618. We're going to put that right there. Yep. So they stalled right at the 618 on the NASDAQ futures. And because of that, I believe we could see a relief rally. Not only did the 9 EMA basically get tapped, so if we pop up a little bit tonight, this will actually swoop up and touch the bottom of that wick. So we got that confluence there on the 9 weekly EMA. We got the 618. But the big things here is that I would love to see price cut back into the bullish channel, which is the 20,000 829 by 21,025. So this is your bullish channel. Let's go ahead and just mark that in there right now. All right, right there. And then the 618, this is a little bit different. The ES stopped at the 50, whereas the NASDAQ stopped at the 618. Very, very important level, because if it can hold, you should be able to see to the downside of 20,300 by 20,094, and possibly even into 19,775. Let's go ahead and go into the daily. This one is different. I changed it around just a tad. I believe we still have the same resistance. It broke down, and now, no, I did change the resistance. Sorry, it was right here. So it was, it definitely was resistance last week. I've moved it up to a zone. So this is a supply zone. This is your demand zone. Another reason why I think we could see a relief rally, we're right here at the zone. Not only are we at the 9 EMA and the 618, but again, right at the zone. The difference is this is closer to the zone than the ES is to the zone. And I don't really, I like that a whole lot, but what I'll say is, because this one is closer, allow it to lead. So allow the NASDAQ to give you clues. So if you don't use the QQQ or the NASDAQ, I would definitely be looking at it for signs. And make sure, if this guy wants to go bid and start to move up, then the ES futures probably doesn't feel its zone or those levels I showed you, but still continues to move up. The reason why I don't like that is because anytime I have a level that's not touched, it usually ends up being touched. So it's just really, NASDAQ can lead the ES and everything can look good, but we still have imbalance down here. Okay, so just know that. All right, unless these things are touched, I kind of am yellow flagging it, if you will. Okay, so that's the NASDAQ, and we'll move over here. This is a 6-hour zone. You can see that it's very beautiful. Another reason why I think we can have a relief rally, and that relief rally can start tonight. If for some reason we open up futures down and we feel some of these levels, then I would expect us to probably be green by the time we open up in the morning. Okay, so we stopped here. You guys can see relief rally. Basically, I wanted to move into the 2338.2. This would actually make a lot of sense, because look at the cloud right here. This cloud is confluent with the Fibonacci. I would expect there to be a rejection or resistance. Now, overall, again, if things go well this week, I do believe that we can move up here towards this zone, and I believe this zone will hold. Okay, that's in the good sense that these zones hold, and we do indeed get some kind of nice reaction out of the market. Okay, all right. So the next thing, again, I got this. That's already in your room. Let's go ahead and go over to Bitcoin. So my overall Bitcoin charts have worked absolutely amazing this year. I do have Bitcoin, I have some Doge, and I have some Ethereum, and because of that, everything's looked great. It's been really great. The only thing I don't like is that I'm kind of torn. I feel like Dr. Jekyll, whatever. And it's like my crypto looks amazing. And then I looked over, in my portfolio, and it's like, oh man, it's taking a hit this week. Right. And so I wish, like we all wish sometimes, I wish that both of them were kind of like moving in unison, and like, I could be sitting here going, oh man, all, the IWM, the Dow Jones, the SPY, the QQQ, it's all doing so well. My crypto's up. But yeah, it's not really like that. So I feel as if every time crypto is looking really strong, we're actually kind of pulling back a little bit. All right. So last thing I had seen is that we had moved up about 4,000 points towards the end of Friday, which was awesome. And then over the weekend, like right now, when I'm looking in my Robinhood account, and I'll just kind of call this out real quick, looking in here, Bitcoin's trading at about 90,400. So I think it's down about 2,000 points from where it was on Friday. And let's just see where it closed here on Friday. What, 92,000? Sorry, yeah, so about 2,000 points down or so. All right, but it hit my target. All right, and your bull channel for the last 3 months, that's taking this candle, this one, and this one into consideration. Your support for this week, 84,800 by 77. And yeah, I expect that to hold. And if it doesn't, it could come all the way back into 74 by 67. Okay, so but I do think this holds. I do think we continue to stay up here, and I think the overall sentiment and the drive is to see if we can get to 100,000. So I continue to stay long in Bitcoin and just kind of like, you just got to hold, for me anyways. And I'm looking for 104,000, guys. That's what I'm looking for. So I just want to see this hold right here. Again, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching this. Hit that like button, and we'll see you in the room tomorrow morning. Have a nice weekend.